Hello and welcome to the mobile application development course using Flutter. So this is the very first lecture of the course in which we will be seeing what is an mobile operating system and what different frameworks or the different libraries are available in order to develop the mobile applications. So they could be native applications or any cross-platform applications. So you will see how different platforms are available in order to develop those mobile applications. So starting with the mobile operating system, as it is the operating system similar to the other operating system installed in different desktop or laptop machines or in the even in the workstations. The basic purpose of any operating system is to control the different resources, and the resources could be any hardware or software resources of a computer. And in this case, as we see, there are two different tasks of any operating system. The very first is to control the resources, and second is to allow different other applications to be executed within the operating system. So by controlling the resources, we mean that a single hardware system, just like a PC or a smartphone or any other computing device, has got number of different hardware components. It's like a CPU, the RAM, and some other components. So whenever multiple applications are to be executed at the same time, those different resources are being shared among those different applications. So there should be some entity in between who should be controlling all these resources, that at what time what particular resource should be with which application, and it should be allowed to be executed by that application, and so that there will be no any conflict in between the different applications which are executed at the same time. So this whole job of all the responsibility of controlling these resources lies with the operating system. And the second major thing that is the second major task that is for the operating system is it will allow some other application programs to be executed. So it is a very basic fact of any computing device that whenever any application is to be executed, that must be available within the RAM of that particular computing machine. So within a RAM you can have a number of different locations there. So who will copy the program from the secondary storage within the RAM and where it should be copied there so that it can be executed. So this again, this another responsibility also lies with the operating system simply. And then the mobile operating system is again an operating system. So all the responsibilities of any desktop operating system, they are also similar to the mobile operating system. And then the mobile operating system is specifically designed to fulfill the needs of smartphones, tablet, wearable devices, Android Auto, or any other type of the smaller embedded devices. So they are specifically designed for those resource constrained devices there. So there are a number of mobile operating systems available in the market. So here's a list of few of the mobile operating systems, but as you see uh, at the top, you are having two of the most important operating or most popular ones are the Android, which is by the Google, and for the from the Apple, we are having the iPhone OS, that is iOS. So in the past, you also had so many other companies which were having their own version of the mobile operating system, just like the very renowned company Nokia was having the Symbian operating system. BlackBerry had the BlackBerry operating system. Microsoft is having Windows Phone, like Windows Phone 7, Windows Phone 10, and then some other operating systems are also available. But the most popular ones which are being mostly used in the market are Android and iOS within the iPhones. So whenever you're developing the mobile applications, you have to consider whether you're developing the applications for the Android operating system or you're targeting the the iPhone operating system, or you're targeting both of them. But as far as whenever the development process is concerned, so obviously the major focus lies at the cost of the project and the outcome as well. So if we see the statistics of the number of users for a particular operating system in the domain of mobile phones or the resource constrained devices, we'll see that the majority of the share lies with the Android. 72, almost 72 percentage of the mobile users are using the Android operating system, and only 27% are using the iOS. And if you see the rest of the operating systems by different companies, they are almost negligible. So it is a better marketing strategy that if you are going to develop, if you are going to target any audience, so these are the two most important audiences or the cluster of audiences that you should go for. Obviously investing lots of the money, a lot of money developing just to focus on 0.42 percentage of the Samsung devices is not a feasible option there. So you should spend so many resources on targeting these two different operating systems. And whenever you are developing the mobile application, you have to choose between these two options, whether you are developing the native applications or you are developing the cross-platform applications. Whenever you're developing the native application, this means that um, you have to maintain a different or separate code base for the iOS and separate code base for the Android. So you'll be maintaining two different code bases, and of course, or obviously, you will be having two different teams for developing the code. You will have two different maintenance teams as well. But on the other hand, you are having the cross-platform applications as well, in which you will just write down a single code base, you will maintain a single code base, and that should be mm, easily compiled on the Android as well as on the iOS application. So the major pickup point from this particular case is that you can have just single code base for both of the platforms there. But obviously there are some trade-offs between both the platforms, the native and the cross platforms. Whenever your focus is the performance of the application, you should go for the native. But whenever your focus is for the quicker development, the rapid development, or you want to have you want to target both the operating systems, Android and iOS, but you have a limited amount of the financial resources, the human resources, then you should go for the cross-platform applications. The native applications are very much faster as compared to the cross-platform applications, but it doesn't mean that they will lag as compared to the native applications. Although, so the most critical applications are developed in the native, and then normal applications are developed in the cross-platform domain. So, broadly speaking, whenever you're choosing the platform, as we have seen earlier, native or cross-platform, we normally divide those different options into the three different categories. That if you want to develop an application, either you will go for developing the completely pure native apps, or you will go for the progressive web apps that are commonly known as PWAs, or you will go for a hybrid application. So these three different categories of the development options are available whenever you are targeting the mobile applications. So the native applications are to be developed for a specific platform. Just like if you're targeting the Android operating system, then you will have a separate code for the Android operating system. You will have a separate code for the iPhone operating system there. And then you are having the two other categories as well, in which you are just maintaining a single code base for all the different platforms. So we'll go into the details of these options in this section. So in the native apps, as we see that When you develop the native applications, they are built using the specific machine language of that particular platform there. So the if you develop a native app for Android, so that will be compiled to the machine language of specifically Android operating system. Whereas if you compile the same application for the iOS, then it will generate a new machine language code that will be specifically intended for iOS applications there. So the native applications are platform specific applications there. So when you will go for creating the native applications, so whenever you are required to have a very highly reliable and very fast working application without any lags there, then the better option is to go for the native apps there. So most critical applications wherever the performance is the major factor, you should go for developing the native apps there. So why we are choosing the native apps? The main advantages are that they are very much reliable, and they have a mature set of the support from the development community there. You will find a solution to any of the problem that you will encounter. And feature availability, so if a certain feature is available in a new version of the Android operating system, and if you're developing the native application, so right away you can use that particular feature. But that is not in the case of the other application, other type of the platforms. And also the most important factor is the performance. So you will see the speed and the user interface experience will be very much smoother in case of the native application, because they are very much faster. And then there are some downsides of this particular choice as well. The very important one is the massive development time, because you have to maintain a separate native code for a code base for the Android. You will have a separate code base for the iOS, and if you are maintaining or developing or targeting the application for Windows as well, then you have a separate code base for the Windows as well. So similarly, you will have the separate development team, so therefore the development cost will be increased there. And also you will maintain those applications, so you will have a maintenance teams there. So increased number of maintenance teams for each separate code base. Each separate team will be there for development of the particular application or maintenance of that particular code base. So that's why in this case, in case of the native apps, the major points to take away are that whenever you want to have a very highly reliable applications, you should go for this particular native app. When the performance is the key factor, you should go for this one. So you have to bear all these different disadvantages, that obviously the development time whenever the application is finally ready there for in the production phase, you will have to wait for a lot of time in this case. And also the cost will be higher, the amount of the human resources you need will be higher as compared to other platforms. Now if we move to the another option, that is the progressive web apps. So progressive web apps and the hybrid application, they lie under the category of cross-platform applications. This means that you will have a single code base, and that will be feasible for being compiled to any of the target operating system. So you do not have to maintain separate code for different platforms. So as we see here, that PWAs are cross-platform, specifically web applications. This means that they use the web technology in order to generate the interface, and then have a certain logic to be executed there. So their experience or user experience is just like of the native applications, but at the back end they are just like web applications there. So these applications run on a particular browser engine. So when to go for the PWS, not for and not for the native apps. So whenever you are having an already a website created for your company, and you have a very less development team and constrained resources, and even then you want to go for having a mobile application out of that already maintained website, then you will go for the PWS, progressive web apps, and these are the these are the least type of the application being preferred by different organizations to be developed as a mobile application choice. So again, we are concluding this one that the progressive web apps are to be used whenever your company has an existing website and you want to develop a mobile application for the same website. So you are not writing down the code for mobile application from scratch. You already have something already developed as a website. You want to convert that website into the mobile application. So website is developed using different web technologies, just like the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or some other type of the JavaScript libraries. So similarly, in the PWA, we will just take the advantage of those already created libraries within those languages, and just we will create a progressive web app out of that one, because we have a less development team with us, we have less financial resources, then we may go for the progressive web app. So these are the things whenever you will go for selecting the progressive web apps, or these are the pros of these type of the application, that in this case the development time is very much reduced as compared to the native apps there. So you can develop very faster application. Also the maintenance cost is less, because you're just maintaining a single code base for multiple different targeted platforms there. And also the code reusability is very much higher. You can write down components in HTML, JavaScript, and you can reuse them in some other type of the projects as well. And but there are as compared to these advantages, there are a few of the disadvantages as well, which make this type of the choice as the least choice for the developers. The most important thing is the performance of these applications is very poor, and also the user experience that you follow is also very bad, because whenever you will interact with the PW application interface, you will experience that there is a lag or jitter in between the different operations or actions being done there. You will see a lot of hanging around the user interface there. You will not feel comfortable with the user interface, as it will be very much slower application as compared to the native apps there. And also the feature availability is a very important factor in this case as well. So most of the features will not be available, the new features will not be available to the PWS. If in a new version of the Android operating system a new feature is added there, so it will take time to be included into the PWA technology there. But in the native apps, as soon as a new feature is available, you can just use the native apps to utilize that particular feature. But in this case, PWA technology has to be upgraded to the new version there by the developer, so that that particular feature is made available within the PWS, and then you will be able to use that particular feature. And also reliability is the very much important case in this particular type of a choice. So they are very much less reliable as compared to the native apps there. And then we go for the very last option, that is the hybrid apps. So hybrid apps, as the name suggests, that hybrid apps is just taking the advantage of the native apps, as they are very much good at the performance. So you take that particular advantage out of the native apps, and you also take some of the advantage from the progressive web apps, as their development time is reduced, the maintenance cost is less there, and also the development cost is less there. So it will be taking the advantage, some advantages from the PWA, some other advantages from the native apps there, and it will be having just the flavor of both the options there. So, but nevertheless, the hybrid apps are considered as better choice as compared to the PWS instead of the native apps there. So the very first option is to have a native app if you afford it. But if you are not affording it, you have a limited resources, financial resources there, the less human resource, then you may go for a good application within this particular choice as a hybrid app there. So when to create a hybrid app, as we say that whenever you want a very good user experienced application, but your company is having a constrained financial resources, and also you have a single development team, and you have a single maintenance team, but you want to target multiple different platforms. You want to have a single code, but you want that should be executed on multiple platforms, and the application should be somehow better at the performance. It should not be as the PWAs are. So you need somehow more efficient application as compared to the PWS. Then you should go for developing the hybrid applications. So in the hybrid applications, you have a reduced development time, you have reduced maintenance costs, you have high code reusability. So these are the different advantages that it is getting out from the PWS. And what are the downsides of the hybrid app? That their performance is not as compared to the native apps there. So of course in this case the native apps are the very prominent choice whenever the performance is the key factor, but nevertheless their performance is somehow greater as compared to the PWS there. And also the feature availability is again one of the major important factor there. If you compare it to the native apps there, so as discussed earlier, that if new feature is available, so it is readily available to the native apps. But if a new feature is available in Android operating system, um, it will take some time, so that hybrid application development technology will be updated, upgraded, and that feature is to be added there, and then you will be able to utilize that feature. And finally the reliability, it is very much better as compared to the PWS, but again it is less reliable as compared to the native apps there. So these were the three different categories of the choices. You need to keep it in mind whenever you are developing the mobile application. So you have to choose any one of them, and then you will be targeting different application platforms there. So the takeaway is that whenever you need a very highly reliable application, whenever the performance is the key factor, you should go for the native apps. But when you are already having a website and you do not want to spend some financial resources and the human resources there, then you can go for the PWA, but at the cost of their performance. So performance will be least as compared to the other two counterparts. But in the hybrid app is again a very good option whenever you want to have an application, the good performance, good the efficient application, but not comparable to the native apps there. But even then, there are some of the applications which where the key factor is not the performance. The key factor is just they must do a certain task that they are required to do, and the performance doesn't count that much. In that case they are not that much sensitive there. So then the probable option is to go for the hybrid apps there, because their development time, their the cost on maintaining and development will be very less as compared to the native apps there, because in this case we just maintain a single code base for targeting multiple different platforms. So this is a comparison for hybrid, the native, and the cross-platform apps there. So the time to market the hybrid apps is fast, because they will be very much readily available. They will be developed in less time, so you can market them very faster. And in the least amount of the time to market is for the network, because it will take some time to develop the application into the production phase there. And then the cross platform application, the PWS there, somehow the marketing time is moderate in between those ones there. The user experience or the user interface, in case of the native apps, will have a very look and feel which is native to that particular platform. So their buttons, their different components will exactly look like as within the native platform which it is providing there. And then in case of the cross platforms, again you are having the native look and feel there, but again it depends on the performance as well. And the performance of the application, if we compare them, the performance of those different applications is in that case the native apps will have a high performance there, and then the cross platform will have somehow the lesser amount of the performance there, and so on. So in this way you can compare them, and you can also have the same categorization in the following slides as well. So when you go for the native app development there, so you have the two major platform, the Android and then the iOS. So when we develop application for the Android, we use the Android Studio development environment where we have two possible languages to be used there, Java or the Kotlin there. But when you are going for developing application for the uh, iOS operating system, you can use the Xcode or AppCode IDE, and you can get advantage of the Swift or Objective-C language in order to develop applications for iOS platform there. And then in case of the progressive web apps, you can have a number of different frameworks and libraries available there. So one of the PWA library is named as the Ionic, which is by Ionic company there, and it uses the web technology by using the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript languages, or it can use some other user interface. JavaScript libraries like React, Vue, and Angular as well. So the application that you will develop in the Ionic, they will be targeted and to be built on the Android, iOS, as well as on the web platform there. Then another one is the Blazor framework that is by Microsoft. It uses C Sharp and some other web technologies there. And then the native script by OpenJS Foundation, again it is using the web technology to develop the user interfaces there, and again it is targeting Android, iOS, and the web platform there. And finally, when we go for the cross platform developments there, uh, and or we may say the hybrid applications. So these are the common or the very popular type of the frameworks available to you. The very popular one is the Flutter by the Google, in which we use the Dart language, and we can target different type of the platforms there. Then another one is the Xamarin by the Microsoft. You have a React Native by Facebook. You have a Uno platform. You have a Cordova platform as well. So these are the number of different frameworks available in which you can develop cross-platform applications there. So this is what we are having for the very first lecture. So here we had discussed that what is the mobile operating system, then the two of the major operating systems there and their market shares, and then you have a choice whenever you're developing the application. You need to choose that whether you are going for the native or cross platform. But if you go in depth there, you are having actually three options there, whether you go for going to develop the native application, the hybrid apps, or progressive web apps, depending on what is your requirement, whether the performance is a key factor or the development time is a key factor there, and so on. So you can have these different platforms there. And then we had seen that what are the different frameworks available in each of the different category, like the native apps there, the PWAs, and the cross platform applications there. And now, if we conclude this particular section, that whenever the performance is the key factor, go for developing the native apps there. But if you are having less financial resources there, you can go for two other different options of the platform, the target platforms there. Whenever the larger companies develop their applications, so they keep it in mind that their applications are very much sensitive, and they need to have a real time response there. So in case in that particular situation, um, the obvious choice is to go for the native apps there. So the Facebook will have a native app there, the Google will have the native apps there, because the performance is mandatory in that case there. But whenever you are having a normal client, uh, and he or she want to have a new application to be developed for his or her own, let's say a shop or any store there. So that is not that much critical where you need a greater performance there. So in that case, you should go for developing the PWAs or the hybrid applications there. If you're developing a game, let's say for example, so the game, in case of a game, you will have a performance as a very key factor there. The frame rate should be manageable there, and their response time should be high. So that's why in that case the obvious choice is to go for the native apps there. But if on the other side, if you are developing the application for very limited number of users, in case of the thousands or tens of thousands there, but not in the millions of users there, then the probable choice is to go for the hybrid apps there. And even if you are developing applications on the Fiverr, Upwork, or any other type of the platforms, so the clients that you will encounter in that case, um, for those clients, mostly you will be choosing the hybrid platform there, because their task is to just that their application should perform a specific task there. They are not concerned with the performance as it is required in the native apps there. So in that way, the choice depends on what application you want to develop and whether the performance is a key factor or not. So this is all about the beginning lecture.